Hello, hello everyone. It's time for another art stream. I know I usually do these on Sundays, but since Sunday is holiday time, and I'm like, oh, people might be busy and stuff, I moved it to Friday. Good Friday for good streaming. And so basically, we'll probably have double streams today. We'll do this in the morning, and then we'll do Slay the Princess in the evening. So if you join me for both, you are super cool. Thank you. And if not, you are still super cool. Thank you. Hello, hello. Thank you for coming. Hope your day's going well so far. It feels so weird to not feel like Friday today. Even though it definitely is, it still does not quite feel like it. Probably does not help that I was not sleeping in my usual spot last night. Hello, hello. Thank you for coming. We are working on shading for this Eldertroon part. I'm not sure how far we'll get. I'm definitely not going to finish it because there's like 18 pages worth. It's a lot. But we'll see how far we get. I hope your guys' day is doing well so far. Mine is going okay, except for, again, the mattress thing, which is entirely my own fault. But alas, alack, what can I do? Except wait for a new mattress. Also, I just realized I filled that in wrong. We're gonna have to erase some of that. Alright, that's a little better. I do have some hot cocoa. Chris would be proud. I love hot cocoa. That's my preferred morning drink. I finally used up all of the I guess double dark, which I like less. So we'll move on to the salted caramel stuff, which I like more. So I might have to move Alfie's crickets if I have to keep sleeping on the couch until I get my new mattress, because normally I do not hear them at night, but since I was in the same room as them and they were chirping away, I was like, uh-oh. You would have thought that the noise-making creatures that specifically make noise at night would make noise at night and keep me up. So I might have to move them to another room, at least until I get my mattress, which will not come until next week. I could use the new mattress, but I don't think I should. Mostly just filling Birdly in there. They're making out. The giant monsters are making out. Now what will we do? Yeah, this whole part is a little bit crazy in terms of shading, so that'll be interesting. Oh boy, it's also all rainy outside, but hopefully it should get a little nicer by next week. Let's see. I'm not doing my usual shading stuff for this, so proof I need to practice values more. Practice a lot of things, I just never have time for them. I'm always so busy working on stuff. But therein is the nature of it. Let's see. Might be easier just to figure out what I'm not shading rather than what I am shading. Also, if you are new to streams and you get or at least the art streams, and you notice you collect enough channel points, you can request something to add to the doodle page. It has to be like a small thing, like something I can do in a few minutes, a minute or less. But that is a thing you can do with the channel points. Try and do that. Ooh. Alfie's my lizard was out a bunch today. Oop, I keep bumping into the stuff I didn't want to draw. Ugh. I'm going to sneeze. No. Excuse me. Ugh. Anyways, my lizard Alfie's was out a bunch yesterday, which was unusual, but she ran back into her hide today for usual times. Oh. I hear a seagull. I felt so bad for I usually do my grocery shopping for the week like early Friday mornings. Like basically I started going like super early in the morning before most people were there, like during COVID, because I didn't want to run into people. And then I just kind of kept doing that after the pandemic. So now I always go super early in the morning. And there's only, when they're just, starting out, not many people, manning the cashiers or whatever. So there was like one cashier running stuff. So I go up and, let somebody else with less stuff go first. And then I go up and pay for my stuff. And as I'm still paying for it, all of a sudden, like, 4 people come in behind me all of a sudden. And, like, one person is just, like, trying to pay for their thing when I'm still in the middle of doing it. Like, they're just kind of putting it there on the front where it's like I'm clearly haven't left yet. I'm still paying for stuff. And, like, please hold on a second, sir. And there's, like, suddenly 4 people in line behind her. So I'm like, that poor cashier just tried to help me. And then all of a sudden, everybody jumped in on her. I don't know, maybe that's a little easier to deal with than busier times in the middle of the day. I've never had that job, so I cannot compare, but I've had family members who've had that job. It's not easy. Let's see. Trying to like carve out what parts are shaded and what parts aren't, because it's nighttime and there's only a little bit of fire for light, so much stuff is hidden. This is honestly kind of like more complicated shading than I ever did with well, I guess a little bit. I was trying to, I think the shading's a bit more complicated than I did with Paper Trail. Overall. At least it certainly feels like it. Let's see. A little bit there. She's mostly going to be in shadow. In shadow, like the hedgehog. I've never played those games either. Or seen the movies. I guess I should at some point. Let's see. The monsters are making out. I guess this can be shaded a bit. All that stuff. Maybe like top of her nose. If I'm like trying to carve out what isn't shaded rather than what is. Maybe a little bit on her hair too. But just a bit. People are so quiet today. Guess that's what I get for breaking my schedule. I think some usual folks could not come at this time. I kind of wonder who does and doesn't have the day off right now, because at least for my work we have the day off, which is why I was doing this Sunday morning. Or Friday morning. Good grief, what day is it? It's Friday. I just accidentally drew over something I wasn't supposed to. Oh well, we're fine. But maybe most people still have like work and school and stuff today and they have Monday off instead? I don't know. It's a mystery. All I can do is what I can do. Well, things are definitely going to get weird later in the year because my province is no longer going to be doing daylight savings changes. So I'll be like, it's 7:30 for me and not for everybody else. Oh well. Hello, hello. Alrighty. That's all good. And that's what I usually do too when I have streams is put them on as background noise while I work. Yes. Again, I usually do it Sunday, but since Sunday's a holiday, I'm like, I'll move it to Friday. But glad you could make it. Like, usually if I'm working and I don't have to, like, think about work. Hello, thank you for coming. Appreciate you being here. Usually if I'm working I don't have to think about work. I'll put on, my favorite video essays. I'm definitely one of those. My video essays. I can't work without my video essays, people. That is absolutely me. Or else, sometimes some podcasts I'm following. Sometimes some streams. Stuff to listen to while I'm doing my work. Although, if I'm in a certain stage of work where I'm doing thumbnails and I have to think a lot about what I'm putting down, I can't listen to people talk. I can only do music because otherwise I can't like listen to other people talk and think at the same time. So thinky parts of drawing, I can't go past music. Okay, that's totally fine. I know, time zones. You at least got time to get some sleeps in before Slay the Princess tonight. Which hopefully, because I'm trying to remember, like, it's been I played like 2 years ago, so I'm like, shoot, what routes did I do last time that I can avoid them this time? Because it looks like the DLC is like automatically added. So I'm like, okay, what if I accidentally do the same routes as last time? I want to do like the new ones, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to do the correct choices to make sure I do the new ones. It must be a bit of a trained skill, I don't know. I mean, also the music especially helps if it's like music that's relevant to what I'm working on. So like usually if I'm I don't know, when I'm doing my work for my job, I found that usually like fast-paced peppy music is good because I'm doing a bunch of action stuff for toddlers. So on the Smash Brothers soundtrack actually works well for that. If I'm working on Eldritch or Deltarune stuff. Obviously, Deltarune music helps. It can vary up a little bit. Maybe one called The Rose. Yeah, I don't remember doing The Rose. I feel like there are some second princesses I missed, because I've seen other people's playthroughs, and I'm like, oh, I never got that princess kind of thing. So I'm sure there's some I missed. Like, I think there was, like, the one where it's, like, a twisted, like, amalgam-looking princess. I don't think I got that. I'm trying to remember what other ones. I think there was, like, I don't know, was there another version of, like, the goddess that I didn't get? Oh yeah, there's one for the den I didn't get that was like a lore one. I didn't get that. So I know I missed them. I'm also trying to think if I missed any new endings, because I think I got the good ending. Yeah, the stranger, is that the amalgam looking one? I don't think I ever got that one. Yeah, I never got it. I don't remember the steps you get, but for some reason I just never did all the steps needed to get the stranger. So I'm like, how did I miss that one? Oh, the den has an added route. Ooh, I'll have to try more. I don't remember what you need to do the den specifically, so I'll have to try that. I thought the den had like kind of multiple things. It must have, because again, I know I missed something with, the big beastly princess. Maybe that was it. Yeah, because I think you have to like refuse to see the princess at first and then go and see her, and that gets the stranger. Whereas like I just completely refused to see the princess ever. So I think I missed it in that sense, and I got like an entirely different ending. Hello, thank you for coming. Dead and Giant Goddess got added routes. Yeah, the goddess one was pretty short, and there's possibilities there, so that's pretty cool. But I'll try and get all the new routes, or any other routes I missed. You have to keep refusing in chapter 1 and then visit her in chapter 2. Okay, I think that's what I missed. I think what I did was I refused her in chapter 1, and then I also just kept refusing her in chapter 2. I just never went back to the princess, so I would have to do that instead. Get horror mask. Ooh, okay. Yeah, it's wild how many different routes there are, because I'm like, oh, I got so many routes, but not at the same time I didn't. There's still more to get. Is that Chris Dreamer? Yes, right over here. They're kind of like, oh boy, okay. We're working on Eldritch Rune, my Deltarune AU. Doing shading on the characters. It's getting a little complicated because the lighting is funky. Alright, let's see. In fact, we should probably add a little bit of the firelight. I need to drink my hot cocoa that I have. My hot cocoa. I like this flavor a lot more than the dark chocolate. Yes, again, this is just for this week. We're doing a little bit different because Sunday is a holiday, and I'm like, okay, people might be gone for the holiday, so let's switch it up to have the art stream this morning, because I don't have work this morning, so I can do it. And also, I will still be doing stream tonight. We were just talking about that, about doing Slay the Princess tonight, so double streams today. Art in the morning, games in the evening. I don't know if people are going to see the fireworks off my roof because my building is small, now surrounded by high-rises on all sides. You're going to have to look around the high-rises to see them. Also, the dogs in the neighborhood wouldn't like it. Alfie's wouldn't care, though. Aim higher. Aim high, sister. don't want to upset the doggies in the neighborhood, of which I've seen some, although not as many recently because people don't want to walk around here because of all the construction. At least it's not happening today, but it's been a lot lately. Very much the don't walk here. No, don't walk here either. Don't walk here. Don't walk anywhere. Go home. Oh, is that a little dolphin emote? That's so cute. Little, oh, what are they called? They're like the little tiny dolphins. Like vaquitas or whatever. They're like the smallest cetaceans. They're like little babies. And they're so endangered. It looks like one of those. Lighting is gonna get funky. But yes, it's just for this week is the change, again, because of the holiday. Next week we'll go back to the usual schedule. Although next time I do art, it'll probably be back to ending stuff again, because hopefully I will have this one done by then. Still got a lot of shading to do on this part. This part is like 18 pages long or something, so I don't think I'm gonna get this out this week, but crossing fingers, maybe next week. Depends on how much I can get done today, honestly. That'll be the kicker, because tomorrow I gotta do chores and laundry and adult stuff, which will be very tricky because of my mattress situation. The mattress situation. Place the car battery. Oh no. Adulty stuff. Yuck. I had to get gas today, and that wasn't fun either, for obvious reasons. Luckily, I don't use my car that much, so like if I get gas, I mean I have to do it like maybe once every 3 months, so I don't have to worry about it for a while now. I don't drive very far very often. Mostly I walk or take the public transit. Yes, remember to take your meds if you haven't, and also hydrate. Wait, the new one you bought died in 2 days? You should be able to get that exchange or something, a refund. Probably was just a bad battery. This droid has a bad motivator, look. Good grief, when is the last time I had my battery replaced? I don't remember. Again, I don't drive that often, so. Oh no. Well, they should have like a copy of. Did you pay for it with a card or something? There's gotta be a record of that purchase somewhere. They definitely shouldn't make you pay for a brand new battery. Yeah, I guess you can just dig up another copy of the record or something. That should count. At least I would be mad if it didn't. Especially if you just got it 2 days ago. They should remember you. Let's see. Alright, we did the... Let's do say real quick. The beasts always take the longest to shade in, so thankfully they're mostly not in this comic. It's actually mostly just Chris. We don't see much of the beasts in this one. They're there a little bit, but not a lot. They're too busy making out. See, we'll do Ralsei down here. Sitting so polite. Yeah, I hope you can get your car battery taken care of, because that's kind of important. The important part about having a car is working battery. I know at some point I'm gonna have to replace my current car. It's getting pretty long in the tooth, as they say. But I'm hoping to not have to do that until I absolutely have to, because again, I don't really drive that much anymore. Used to have to drive constantly. No more. Now I walk a lot. I want you to blend into the background. Yeah, if you can do it, then, you know, you might as well. Sometimes it's like not a practical thing, you know, you can't really do it properly. Hour-long bike ride, oh, that's pretty long. I mean, if you can manage it, that's pretty good exercise, but at the same time, that's pretty lengthy. I think about how I used to do like hour-long commutes in the car, and I'm like, why was I doing that? I mean, I know why I was doing that, but ugh. Yeah, Fever Pitch. I really like this song. This is a good song. Yep. Showing up to work all sweaty. Ugh. At the same time, you're all energized and ready for the day. So people can deal with your sweaty, then heck with it. I'm pretty sure back when I was actually going to the office, there were people that would, like, you know, bike for half an hour, and they come in all sweaty and stuff. Oh well. Work makes you sweaty anyway, so nobody can tell the difference. Then it's fine. Although if you're doing like labor and stuff all day, then, you know, take care of yourself too. Don't overwork. Problem solves itself. Ugh, yeah. Mostly, I would need to get a bike again. I don't have a bike. I've not ridden a bike in a long time. I'm pretty sure once I got on one, I, you know, just, as they say, you know, it's like riding a bike, you just do it again. So I don't really have anywhere easy to store a bike. I guess I could do it in my garage downstairs, but not my garage, but the garage downstairs. Yeah, any temperature above 60. Ugh. So, I mean, I have the park right next door. I can be a very good place to ride bikes. People do it all the time. But I do not have a bike. I would have to buy myself a bike, and it can be kind of expensive. I think maybe if, like, I just stopped using my car entirely and was like, okay, I'm not even going to drive anymore anywhere, then I would get a bike. So I have friends that do not have cars but do have a bike, and that's how they mostly get around. Which is doable, you know, in a city, for the most part. Although that can be a little scary, I think, if I was, like, it's one thing to, like, be riding a bike, you know, along a trail. Another one to be, like, sharing a road with cars and you're on a bike. That would spook me a little. Yeah, we'll see how hot it is. It's been pretty rainy here, but honestly, I'm kind of glad about that. I'm like, okay, let's keep it cold and rainy as long as we can before it gets to summer and, you know, things heat up too much. And it gets hot because I don't have air conditioning, so it's going to be a little miserable. Oh, that's right. You are in the southern hemisphere, so you are going into winter. Going into winter time. In the northern hemisphere, we're going into the summertime. Yeah, for sure. I feel like the summer months would not be so bad if I had like air conditioning, but I don't. I just have my good grief, what is it? Also, throw that in. Have my little portable AC unit, which is definitely better than nothing. But for both my sake and Alfie's, wish I could have central AC. Hello, hello, thank you for coming. Happy early Easter, yes. I was talking about this with my parents recently. It's like, oh, Easter is one of those holidays that, like, you know, it was really fun when you're a kid, and then when you grow up as an adult, it's like, well, there's not much to do. This is mostly for the kids. I can bought some Easter chocolate for myself, and that's all well and good. But, you know, it's not really fun to, like, paint eggs and if you're not gonna hide them, you know, for somebody else to find them or anything like that. Like, even carving a pumpkin feels a little bit better than painting eggs. It's very much for the kids. The kidlets. Since there are no kidlets around, no eggs to be painted. Let's go full shadow on the face, I think. Oh my goodness, time flies. We're almost done with half hour. Paint relevant characters on eggs and throw them. I feel like I would just like put a bunch of Spamtons on the eggs and then, you know, film myself throwing them. Where would I throw them even? I'm not gonna like throw them at people or cars or whatever. That would be mean. Like, where am I throwing the eggs? Just kind of making a mess. At a dumpster? Okay, that works for Spamton. I don't even know if it would work that well, because like you're throwing them at the dumpster, somebody still has to clean that. At least here, you also have to put organic trash in a, you know, the organic trash can. You can't just put it in a dumpster. You can't even throw Spamton eggs around. Pippies. Throw them up and try to get a bird to fly off with it. What bird is going to be large enough to grab a chicken egg out of the air? Let's kind of hope a seagull flies by. Or a hawk or something. An unladen swallow. What is the air velocity of an unladen swallow? Oh, I don't know that. Oh! What is your favorite color? Alright, we're going to add the lighting part on Chris. We'll add that after my stretch break. This continuation, yes, we're in the shading stage right now. We're doing the shading today. Again, probably won't be able to finish all of this today, but we'll see how far I get. Well, we do have crows around. We do have crows nearby. Even ravens. I've heard some ravens around. They make those cool noises. But I think it's more the timing of tossing an egg into the air and hoping an animal catches it is a bit of a small chance. How many stages of drawing does it have? A lot. It has a lot because, you know, I write the script first for a comic, then I do the layout, which is like stick figures of where everything is, and the paneling, put down my text boxes, put down my rough backgrounds, then I clean up the backgrounds, I shade the backgrounds, I put down the characters, the character roughs, then I clean up the characters, then I do fills on the characters, then I shade the characters, and then I usually have to go back in and like add some effects and stuff like that. Honestly, I feel like if I was just tossing eggs into the air and then they were throwing on the ground, what the crows would learn is, oh, free egg on the ground if I, wait for this person to toss it. If I'm going to toss something to the crows, I'll go get some peanuts or something they like. What do crows like? I think they like peanuts. Maybe they like cashews or something. I don't remember what crows like, but I could probably get myself a crow army if I started feeding them regularly. Most of the people just feed the squirrels around here, and so the squirrels are not afraid of people at all, and they just kind of run up to you and get up on their haunches and look at you with their big eyes and bushy tails like, are you going to feed me, please? Please? Big old squirrels. Oh, darn, I keep forgetting to sacrifice the baby goat blood. That's why my art's not coming out good. Oh, darn it. There's always a step you forget. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Is like the crows would love an egg, but I'm sure they would appreciate the egg more if it was broken open on the ground and they can eat the insides as opposed to going off with the whole egg and then having to open it themselves. Like, oh, that human opened that egg for us. Hooray. Bunnies are cute. I have a friend who has a bunny. They are quite a bit of work. No, I don't think they would want to eat a crow egg. I mean, are they? I don't think they're cannibals. Like, chickens will eat chicken eggs. I don't think a crow will eat a crow egg, though. Extra enrichment. Crows seem to be a bit more... Well, I don't know. Actually, chickens can be pretty social. Yeah, chickens will eat anything, but will... Like, I know chickens will eat, like, other chicken eggs. But will crows eat crow eggs? Alright, be right back for one more stretch. I'm back. Also, fortuitous timing with this song. I had to listen to this song, this remix on repeat while working on this comic for inspiration, because this is like the only decent remix I found of Burning Eyes. Nobody remixes Burning Eyes. So I make do. Let's see. Yeah, it's hard. You'd figure like such a simple song people would be able to do remixes on it, right? But again, I've only heard like maybe one or two decent remixes of Burning Eyes. Very little from the Sword route in general, aside from like the obvious one, Sword, which is a good song on its own. But like I don't really hear much of like, Roots or Glacier or anything like that. Northern Light, any of that. Seen crows love eggs. Okay. So they don't eat crow eggs. To be fair, I'm pretty sure most animals love eggs that aren't their own. I mean, we eat eggs. Pretty much, I think any animal that's omnivorous will probably be like, heck, egg, yeah. Well, Alfie's is technically omnivore. She does not eat egg. But she's also, like, more herbivorous than omnivore. She's supposedly supposed to eat greens more than her bugs, but she definitely prefers her bugs. Exactly, they're full of nutrients. Tasty egg. And it's funny to say egg. Oh, that's cool. They have to send me that, because I think I only found like 1 or 2 decent remixes of Glacier. I'll take more. Definitely the Link's Awakening references in the whole boards, and especially the sword root thing, are all over the place. Yeah, working on this particular comic book, I'm like, well, better putting on the Burning Eyes remix on repeat. Especially for the actual parts with ERAM. Which I hope that guy gets an actual name in the future, as opposed to just being like, well, that's ERAM Mantle Holder, John Mantle, whatever. We don't know what your name is, sir. Alright, thank you. Let me click that to save it for later. There we go. Save that for later. Then again, I guess there's very little you can do with like bit roots, for example. It's just like which it worked well for the situation you're in, the tone of it, but not a very exciting song, I guess. Not like Big Shot or anything like that. So what's going on there? Yeah, that's true. We probably will just get small hints and never quite full answers. That does feel likely. Also, I am very impressed by people that can beat the knight without the mantle, because I ain't that skilled. I struggle. Okay. On to the next page. Where are we? Yeah. I can't believe I beat it pre-patch. That's kind of wild. But I had to do so many tries. And behind the get all the shadow crystals reward. I don't know. I mean, maybe they will. Especially with the whole I'm hiding in the shelter kind of thing, but I just do not know. Because the patch mostly just like, I know it fixed the tunnel, the hitboxes on the tunnel move, which, good grief, I always died to that one. Completionisms. My completionist self is like, part of me kind of wants to go back and redo chapter 3 because I missed the moss, so I am no longer like expert moss finder. I missed it. Like the chapter 3 moss is the only moss I missed. But on the other hand, I'm like, is it really worth it for the moss? Having to deal with the knight again and mantle again. I know, I missed it. You have to get it at a certain time, otherwise it like gets cut off. The most lore important. Yeah, exactly. I can't even be like, oh, I have to get this dialogue I haven't gotten before. I'm like, no, I have to do the same thing I did last time. I have to make sure I get this thing. No mantle or night crystal. I really do wonder, like, what exactly we're going to be getting for doing all the shadow crystal stuff. Because on the one hand, I don't think that an important story beat, like, important, like, oh, the true ending or, you know, doing all this other stuff will be locked behind a skill gate, basically. I don't think that would happen. I don't really want that to happen. Because some people, like, are casual players and don't want to do all this really difficult stuff, especially stuff for the night. On the other hand, it feels like, okay, this has got to be important in some way. At least Sham seems to think it is, and Eram himself is like, this is why you're looking for the shadow crystals, aren't you? Kind of thing, so. I'm like, okay, what would this change without actually changing anything? Although I am still of the mind that basically we'll be using the shadow crystals to make an ultimate weapon for one character. And you must choose which one. Let's erase that a little bit. I don't know. So, like, there would be another opportunity to get the shadow crystal from the night, like, later, like chapter 6 or something. Which could be interesting. That is definitely the odd one out in terms of, like, difficult to get so far. Like, they're all difficult to get, but, like, the night is, like, such a jump in required skill level, I think, compared to the other secret bosses. It could be interesting if it's like, okay, you can get this crystal later because you need 5 of them, but you will do it like in a much later chapter, and so in that case, not get the whatever it is with the pure crystal until like maybe kind of past the point it would have been useful, which does happen with ultimate weapons sometimes. It's like, you've got the ultimate weapon, it's not really useful to you anymore because you're past the point where it could have been useful. I could see that. I could see that happening. Sham's like, oh well, that dog. You know, Chris is like, that dog keeps killing me with his little car. So yeah, that could be interesting. I could see it being a thing of, okay, you can get 5 crystals, eventually, but by beating the night earlier, you have access to something that could be really useful sooner, and at a point where it'll feel more useful. And maybe especially depending on like the weird root stuff, if you can only get Noelle's ultimate weapon by doing weird root and getting all the crystals for that, like maybe if you don't beat the knight, that's just not possible on the weird root. Yeah, that's my that was my guess, is that basically pure crystal gear is like ultimate weapon for a specific character. It has like, you know, best stats and then also like a unique ability for that character. And you will have to choose, okay, who do I want to give this to? Murdering the main character. That's true. You stole Papyrus's bones. Toby, why are you murdering the main character? Yes, again, this isn't Deltrune AU. So this is Chris. And then we have Susie and Noelle doing their thing back there. And then here's Birdley, also doing his thing. It's all the characters you know and love, but now they are huge, giant, scary monster things. We do like to torture our Blorbos, that's true. Wasn't I drowning them? Yes, they're not drowning in this comic page. Now different terrible things are happening to them. Different terrible things. Probably the drowning is worse, though. I think the drowning was one of the worst things that happened to them, but still scary, just not as bad. At least not in terms of timing. Yeah. Yeah, that could be awkward. I'm not sure. It could. I mean, I imagine we are going to have a night rematch no matter what. And hopefully we'll be able to do it at a point where it's like, okay, they are more beatable for the regular crowd. For a casual audience. Whereas, like, in Chapter 3, they felt extremely difficult. I'm assuming that, like, if you did beat the knight, if you got all crystals, that we'll be getting, oops, a little something there. Let's erase that. Where's, oh, fire copy, okay. Yeah, that basically we'll be getting the ultimate weapon at the end of Chapter 5. So you'll have it going into Chapter 6. And then if you are right, and it's basically a thing that you can get later as long as you have, like, enough crystals for it, then maybe you would get it, like, towards the end of Chapter 6, only usable in Chapter 7, in which case it might not all be all that usable. I am wondering, though, if we do that kind of thing, like, okay, what will these abilities that these weapons will have? Especially if they're character specific. Ooh, that would be interesting. Will we see you, Helmetless Knight? Hello, thank you for dropping by. On my not usual day for doing arts. So just changing it up for this week. Ram not looking the best. But he's hanging in there. Yeah, like I assume that if, you know, the pure crystal gets us an ultimate weapon for each character, then for Susie that would be with the Justice Axe, especially considering there's like a question mark ability attached to it and we don't know what that is yet. Put that thing out of its misery? Oh, they will, don't worry. Ram is not making it to the end of this comic. well, kind of, but not really. Ah, therapy. Is it Psychological or physical therapy? Well, I guess it's not really my business. I gotta go to... Well, actually, no, my next physio appointment's in May, so that'll be a little time off. I should do massage next week, though. The week after. But yeah, Ram is not in great shape. Weird little guy. Doing weird little guy things. Conversational therapy? Okay. I'm not sure what you would do for that, but that sounds interesting. Question mark ability is just any blank ability thing. I don't know, because so not all of them have, like, you know, 2 abilities or whatever. It seems weird that, like, Susie's, you know, special axe has, like, this ability and then, like, question mark. I mean, I guess it kind of also has that, has, like, a hidden ability thing for, what was it? The mannequin. Because the mannequin only gives you a defense boost against, specifically, the Spamton fight. Doesn't it then tell you that, though? I don't know. I hope this face isn't too dark on Ram here. I gotta fill in the eyes and stuff later. Look like a big bitten off face. I just have to have somebody, like, optimize my equipment and stuff for me and Delta and stuff. I'm not very good at, like, you know, figuring out stats of, like, oh, this will be the best equipment for this character in this situation kind of thing. It's not even, like, that difficult a thing to figure out for Delta, and I just am like, I don't know. As evidenced by my struggles in the Garrison fight when, probably would have been easiest to, you know, get specific equipment going. A better equipment build. Weapon description? I don't know. I would have to double check on that. I just remember there being, like, some questions about, oh, what is this question mark ability attached to the Justice Axe? I don't know if that was ever answered. Oh, it's raining. It's raining somewhere else. Actually, it's raining here, too. Today it is rainy. Rainy, rainy day. And I'm a little glad it's raining. I think we're going to need as much of that cold and wet as we can get before it gets hot. I finished off the hot chocolate. Elsie's like, why is my human wandering off again? Quit wandering off, human. Bad things happen when you do that. Well, let's do the little shiny light things on them as well. They're sitting by the fire as we make out by the fire To face unafraid the horrors of this world, walking in a winter wonderland. Get a leash. Ooh. I don't think Chris would appreciate that. No, it's for your own good, Chris. Anybody actually have like those kid leashes growing up? No one ever appreciates the leash and harness. Well, some people do, I suppose. Oh, I'm sorry it didn't go anywhere. It could be interesting. It could be fun. It says effects plus 12 attack question mark. Huh. I mean, maybe? It is interesting that one Susie has like the lowest magic stat of anybody except for Chris, who does not use magic, and two, like, her magic boosts seem to be like tied to her weapons rather than herself. Like, isn't it like Rude Buster is basically like it's boosted by her attack stat and magic stat, even though Rude Buster is a magic one. No. Poor Ross say they're always covering up his face. Oh. Susie, the big bad scary monster that has to scare everybody. Cute. Yeah, I think there's like some weird stuff going on with Susie's magic where like she can use it obviously. She can do Rude Buster and healing and all that stuff, but it's like it's a bit tricky for her. That would be nice. I still find it extremely weird that, like, they're like, oh, humans can't use magic even in the dark world. And I'm like, but why not? Why can't they do it? Like, why do the rules say no on that? I mean, this is not like a biological thing, supposedly. This is like a world of imagination. I guess to make Chris feel more alienated, but still odd. Chris, you have the powers of imagination. You can do it. And all the powers of my imagination. Odd Susie loses an eye. I know people have picked up on that, like, oh, the Justice characters are all missing an eye. Maybe, but I'm not really banking on it, because we haven't, like, it's not telegraphed the same way, like Chris losing an arm or a hand, that's been, like, super telegraphed a bunch. That keeps popping up. It's like, okay, there's something going on with Chris and their hand. Whereas with Susie in the eye, there's really nothing to telegraph that except for the fact that, like, oh, she's got a justice thing, and Undyne is missing an eye, and Garrison kind of is. I don't think there's much we can glean from that, so I'm not counting on it. If it happened, I'd be like, oh, wow, it did happen. Amazing. But I'm not like, yeah, she's definitely going to lose an eye, because I don't think we have enough evidence towards that. I imagine it's going to go up for Noelle. That's the only other person we can check. I mean, obviously Birdley can use magic. But we don't know how his stats are, how they change. I guess so. It's kind of weird because it seems like this would be kind of thing. It's like, oh, you know, with imagination you're consciously sculpting it, but it really does feel more like an unconscious thing. Justice characters being bald. Undyne isn't bald. She has hair. Undyne and Garrison has hair. He has a big long ponytail. What do you mean they're bald? They're not bald. They have hair. I don't think that makes sense. Like they both have quite a bit of hair. famously, fish do not have hair, and Undyne has like a big ponytail of it. She's not bald. Well, I assume if you were doing a Monsters Inc. AU for specifically Deltarune, then the human would be Chris. That's my assumption. Maybe they can only have ponytails. Yeah, she gets a ponytail like in like in her concept art. There's something there. We have hair on a catfish. It's Undyne. It's a little tough to be like, oh, this is going to follow in the footsteps of, like, you know, these characters that are all based on justice, when we basically only kind of have one and a half. We have you know, Undyne, obviously, and then also kind of Garrison. But even then, we're kind of splitting that across two different games. They grow a cowboy hat. Now your justice ensemble is complete. Missing eye, bald, cowboy hat. That's justice. That's the power of justice. But yeah, no, I don't think that Susie is destined to lose an eye, just because, again, that has not been telegraphed in the same way that Chris losing a hand is like, oh, that there are signs for that all over the place. And it's not impossible, since we do know from Birdly that you can suffer an injury in the Dark World that is, you know, carries over into the Light World and may or may not be permanent. Kind of depends on, okay, is his arm ever going to wake up again, kind of thing? Will he wake up from Snowgrave? I don't know. We'll find out, maybe, hopefully. The gun of justice. That's Clover. Well, once we get all the people from, you know, all the justice characters together, they need to form like a Super Sentai team. Get color coordinated. Did I ever like sports? No, I'm sorry. I'm not really a sports person. I've never been able to get into it. Most of my family enjoys a sport of some kind or another. Usually the baseballs or the footballs. I just haven't been able to get into it. I'm too busy doing Vimeo game and cartoon. Very normal. Do Wii Sports count? If they do, I still haven't gotten into them. Like, it will count if DDR counts, I guess. I like me a dancing rhythm game, and that's about it. It kind of sucks, because that's probably, like, the best way to get exercise, is, like, doing a team sport, but I've never enjoyed team sports. I don't really enjoy participating. I don't enjoy watching them. I feel so self-conscious about it. Oh, I think I gotta do my stretch break now. My stretch break. But even though I don't do a sport, you still gotta treat drawing like a sport and do your stretches. Big sports marks, yeah. I know, that's the problem. I just don't care. It's not like, oh, sports are dumb. You're so dumb for watching them, blah, blah, blah. Like, I can see why people would get invested in sports and stuff like that. I just can't get invested. I just don't care. It's like the same thing as, like, people getting invested in celebrities and stuff like that. I don't care about celebrities and stuff either. It's like, oh, this real person, like, I care about their performance. I don't really care about who they are as people, unless they're like, you know, a total asshole, in which case I don't want to watch their performance either. But most of the time celebrities are, you know, normal, fine people too. As long as, you know, you deal with being a celebrity, okay, which is difficult, honestly, but yeah, I don't care about sports. I mean, I'd separate art from artist, depends on what the artist is doing and what the art is doing. Like, I don't think you can really blanket statement that. Like, for example, I am never touching anything Harry Potter related ever again because J.K. Rowling is just the worst, and I don't want to give her a minute of my time. I gotta convince my brother to do that, though. I'm pretty sure they're still in on Harry Potter stuff, but that would not be a fun conversation. But at the same time, it's like, okay, you know, I'm fine reading, like, you know, H.P. Lovecraft stories or whatever, because even though he was, you know, insanely racist, the fact that he was insanely racist does not, like, have serious bearing on, you know, people's lives nowadays, unlike J.K. Rowling, whose art directly contributes to, you know, harming people. Yet you got to, or like, you know, I'm not gonna read a Neil Gaiman book. You got to take things case by case. He was just a weird guy in his basement. H.P. Lovecraft does sound like he had other issues, but often that's the case with people who are like crazy prejudices. They're like, okay, you got something else going on. It doesn't excuse the racism, but it might contribute to it. They've been dead for like what, centuries? I don't really care about them. Also, especially like Brothers Grimm fairy tales, those have been reinterpreted so many different ways at this point. It's like, it's not really relevant that they were pretty crappy people and that, you know, were often misogynistic and stuff like that. We can do whatever we want with those stories at this point. We don't have to care about their vision. It ain't theirs anymore at this point. Oh, H.P. Lovecraft, yeah, he was kind of crazy. Oh no, Welsh ancestry. I'm a different kind of white. Oh no, like he was a little cuckoo in the head. Which, in a sense, probably contributed to why his stories were so interesting and good, is because he was just operating from this place of fear of anything different from him. The problem is, anything different from him included, like, the Welsh and people slightly poorer than him. It's just like a perspective, dude. They just compiled them, yeah. Who would be worried about entry not even being from... Yeah, it's pretty silly. Alright, I'll be right back for one more stretch and get my orange juice and stuff. turn. With my orange juice. But yeah, H.P. Lovecraft was like even for his time, especially racist to the point contemporaries were like, dude, you gotta calm down. But it's not like the H.P. Lovecraft, fund or whatever is deliberately contributing to current day racism. So, and if they are, then that's bad. But I haven't heard anything about that. So, I think it's fine to enjoy an H.P. Lovecraft while also recognizing, oh, this guy was like insanely racist. Mostly because it helps to just like, when you're studying any kind of text, just be like, okay, you actually can glean some things about, okay, why was it written this way? What was the author trying to say? If you have some background on the author. Because as an artist, it's kind of impossible to separate yourself completely from your work. You always put a little bit of yourself into it. Like things that matter to you, things that bother you, things that, you want to talk about, stuff like that. You can't really avoid that, so you can never fully separate the art from the artist, because the artist has always put a bit of themselves into the art, whether they mean to or not. And it's worth examining, okay, what does it mean that this piece of the artist is, here in the art? What can we learn from this? And it's not the same thing as saying, like, oh, this artist, wrote about problematic things. That means the artist is problematic. That's not how it works. All of us have different ways of exploring things that interest us or bother us or that we want to talk about. Susie says bubbler. She's from the Northeast. She's from like New Hampshire or whatever. Oh, is Kanye? I don't know that much about the hip hop scene, so can't talk about that as much, but I don't know. There's got to be better rap and hip hop out there than just Kanye. Does he even make a lot of songs anymore? Also, they deal with a lot of the artists that like get really problematic and just kind of go off the deep end, is they stop making art, and then they're all about like their pet peeve, their grift. They just become like grievances, personalities, where they're just like, they're not even making art anymore about the stuff they have to care about. They're just going off about it. Yeah, Kanye is again, there's got to be better hip hop out there. I don't know Chris Brown either. I am very, very not well versed in those art forms. Most of what I got is like secondhand knowledge. Like I watched FD Signifier's videos on like who was it? On Drake and like Drake versus Kendrick Lamar and stuff like that, which was really good. The Tyler Perry video was very good. And I'm sure he's done one on Kanye as well. But I probably can't speak much to it because I don't have much personal experience. I am an outsider in that cultural section. So my thoughts are probably not super relevant. Oh, not Nazi or Nazi LARP. But the thing is, like, you reach a point where it's like, what's the difference? Like, practically speaking, who cares if you're doing it ironically or doing it, you know, sincerely. Well, one thing I will say about that is that, like, beware of what you do ironically, because what you do with irony today, you will do with sincerity tomorrow. Irony is pretty much just like sincerity with extra steps, in my opinion. Yeah. That is true. That is true. That's definitely happened to me where, like, a work that, you know, I liked, and then I find out something about the artist has, you know, shown it really bad light. It does reflect on the work, and I'm like, oh, the work feels worse now than what I originally perceived. That's true. I'm sure he's, you know, the drugs are not helping. Yeah, there comes a point where it's like there is no difference between, like, the LARP and the reality. We are the masks we wear. Or at least we can become the mask we wear very easily. So be careful what you do for pretend, because it can easily become real. Oh no, that stinks. Yeah, that's really cruddy. It's something I think about a lot too. I'm like, man, I gotta make sure I'm not, like, on the one hand, like, you know, being negative about stuff, you know, being mean, it gets people attention. People, like, find it funny. They like it, that kind of stuff. On the other hand, I'm like, it's not a good idea to do that. I don't want to be too negative. I used to do that a lot more in fandom. I used to, you know, riff on fanfiction and spork and stuff all the time. And I was pretty good at it, and I had fun doing it, but looking back, I'm like, I shouldn't have done that. That was not a good use of my time. This was not contributing as much as me just making my own stuff would have contributed. So, lessons learned, regrets had. No, that stinks. It is really hard when you know, especially if it's something from your childhood that, you know, was really formative to you. And then you grow up and realize, oh, this was, you know, made under really bad circumstances, or the person who made this was just kind of awful kind of stuff. And stuff I disagree with. It does color it. It's really rough. I'm pretty sure that's most of the people's problem with Harry Potter, is that, like, if it was super formative to your childhood, it's like, I'm sorry, dude, you gotta let that go. Other people's, you know, lives are more important than your nostalgia. Alright, I think we got all the shading done on this page. Hello, hello, thank you for coming. Oh, uh-oh. I don't think I'd want to get into a healthcare argument on Twitch. That would be unfun. It's unfun in most situations. Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole nother issue, is that things are definitely different for, like, social media nowadays. Like, people having access to artists way more than they did in the past. Like, way more than they did in the past. And usually as an artist, like, you're not really equipped to deal with, like, everybody's opinions coming at you at once. It's this really rough thing, because you want to see that people like your work and stuff like that. But people being able to, like, ask you questions about it and all that stuff, and sometimes you don't have a good answer. I've definitely had that happen to me. People will take you in bad faith and stuff like that. And again, I just see that happening with, like, Goose with Digital Circus now. I can see that being dealing with Toby right now. Like, you really got to just be like, okay, I got to step back. Oh, the translation fiasco. I feel bad for everyone involved in that. Because I really think it's one of those things where it's like, okay, both people have, you know, legit things going on. Like, yeah, Latin American fans have been treated really badly, like, historically. And in this situation. But also, like, no, Toby is not obligated to do a translation for it. And honestly, he hasn't even said he won't do it. He just said, I'm not going to do that right now. Which, that's fine. We might have to wait a little while for it. It's not like it will never happen. But the thing is, either either it happens slowly and correctly, or it happens quickly and badly. So which one do you want? Artists like actively interact with fans and get progressively angry and angrier. Okay. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. Definitely, I've gotten like some asks and stuff where I just have to like, okay, I'm not going to answer these. I'm just not going to engage with this at all, because like, if I just get into an argument, it's gonna nothing good's gonna come of this. So I'm just cutting it off right here. Yeah. I don't understand, like, especially on Twitter, I'm like, come on, guys. People are here just to, to engagement bait, because that's how you get attention. And I really do wonder, okay, what is the percentage of people that have, legit complaints, that are fans and are like, hey, we've been, really shafted these past few years and we'd like some attention about that. That is a legit complaint. And people who, like, are not even fans, but they're outrage tourists. How many people are talking in good faith, and how many people are not talking in good faith? You don't know. It's like a really difficult thing to tell. Because I have seen people who have been talking in good faith and were just like legitimately mad at Toby, because they're, again, Latin America is often just shafted in general in fandom. But again, that could just be outrage tourists who are like, oh boy, here's, a thing I can hop on to be mad about. And drive engagement about it. And, okay, how do you tell the difference between somebody who's like, I'm legitimately frustrated, and people who don't really give a crap but want to be angry? Yeah. Yeah. Again, maybe they're very young. I don't know. I'm glad I left Twitter. That's all. I don't understand why the fandom is still there. I'm like, please, artists, leave, please. You don't know who's there in good faith and who isn't. You are on the Nazi side, please. And I know that Blue Sky, has its fair share of problems. That is absolutely true. But I don't know. Like, even using Twitter feels like using Facebook to me. It's just miserable. Yeah, that person doesn't seem like they're in a super good argument. Maybe they were also just an outrage tourist. Yeah, that's another thing I'm wondering. I'm like, okay, how much of this is specifically Undertale Deltarune, and how much of this is like general anger at this being a problem across decades, pretty much, like American imperialism just absolutely screwing over Latin America is something that's been happening for a long time, and is even worse right now. Right now it's exceptionally bad. But especially like if you're a kid and you're not really involved in this kind of stuff, but it suddenly affects you because this is about like your favorite game and stuff, then okay, this is like a way I can express my frustration for something that otherwise, like, you don't really have a voice for. But then again, maybe I need to shut up about it because I'm I am an outsider in this, so I'm assuming I know how other people feel when I probably do not. That is just my guess as an outsider. Again, most I'm just like, please leave Twitter. It's not a good place to discuss this. Oh yeah, when I was talking about Harry Potter, I ain't gonna watch that. I ain't watching that. Mostly, I feel bad for those kid actors. Those poor kids. They're gonna have like a grueling schedule on this sort of thing. TV has a tougher, tighter schedule than movies do. And they like want the kids to like grow up for like a 10 season series. Like, I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think they're gonna finish it. I'll be honest. I don't think they're gonna finish that series. That kind of thing is just it's really not doable. That long term. You got to really get lucky in order to have like a 10 season series, especially like something that high budget. I don't know. I can't imagine that paying the kind of dividends it would need. Yeah, I don't know if my parents would watch it, but I'm afraid my brother would watch it. Like, my brother's was really big into Harry Potter. I mean, I was too. But, like, he was more into it than I was, and, like, they live really close to Universal, so they go all the time and stuff like that, and I would need to have a conversation about, like, hey, this thing I know you really like, it's bad. It's really bad, and you're a queer person, so this is relevant to you. But, and that's the problem is that's the kind of thing nobody wants to hear. So, and I don't know when I'll talk to them about it at some point. I mean they know I don't like Harry Potter anymore. Like I've said, hey, if we're ever going to Universal, I'm not going to Harry Potter World. Sorry, I don't want to give her any money. I don't want to give her any attention. So, but I don't, especially like if you're not very online, then like people don't know the extent of like just how awful she's gotten. They think, oh, she said some problematic things. I'm like, no, this is not just problematic things. This is like her throwing billions of dollars into like harming a specific group of people. This is like the same as Elon Musk. Unrelated? No! They should be able to like report them for false advertising. If you're advertising something that's not actually there because it's fake AI, then they're not actually advertising properly. Especially for something like food or like a house or something like that. People are using like AI generated stuff for houses. Ugh, that should be illegal. It should already be illegal. No, the money is going to her. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. It's like people are complicated. Nobody's ever going to have like, oh, I'm the perfect, person that has, all the correct takes and stuff like that. Very often people will have like, oh, they're have a good take on this, and then they have a really bad take on something else. I am sure I am not immune to that. I'm sure there are some people who are like, your take sucks on, whatever. Because we all have different experiences. Ram has had bad experiences. Many bad experiences, and they're going to get worse. Like that is another thing I think that hopefully young people can understand is like, the artist you love out there, not everybody is like, this is the problematic artist and this is the good artist, blah, blah, blah. And I'm only going to engage with the good artist and not the problematic artist, because what's most likely going to happen is that you're going to have an artist or any creator, really, again, who has some things you agree with and some things you really don't. And you'll just have to hold both those things in your heart pretty much and be like, okay, what do I take from this? Yep. That's the other thing. I think people also want to believe like, oh, a bad person can never make good art, but that's just not true. Sometimes like, people that, you really can't stand, they do make art that's really good. Although definitely, I think like we were talking about earlier, if you like somebody's art and then find out that, oh, they had some problematic things with them, it sours the art for you. Also, hello, thank you for coming. We are doing character shading on this next Eldritch Room part, where Chris is not having a good time talking to Ram. Yeah. I think we all would have been a lot better off if he had just stuck with art. Yeah, exactly. It is very much a subjective thing. People can have a bad take, and it's like, okay, fine. But if it gets like abhorrent, then you're like, okay, this is the line that's been crossed. What's my fave character from this? Probably my same fave character as in canon. I love Susie. Susie's my favorite from Deltarune. I love my big lizard girl. Big dragon. Seriously, once I finished chapters 3 and 4, I just like did nothing but think about Susie Deltarune for like a week straight. I hope that happens again with chapter 5. Please. Give me more of my Susies. But I like all of the characters. Definitely it's been fun doing Chris in this universe. It's been a fun time. Even though they mostly just get tortured, I still enjoy them. Oh no, I'm sorry your account got terminated. Good grief. That's so, that's a one fear shirt for me. I would not appreciate that. I know Beef was still dealing with that too. Good grief. I was gonna start TS Underswap next week. Why is Discord being a stupid? Tumblr being a stupid. I'm glad you're able to get your account back. I think what's especially egregious about that kind of thing is like, you know, people that pretty innocuous will get their accounts deleted, whereas people that like are clearly, you know, causing problems for the people who are advocating violence or whatever, like those hang around. It's like, okay, a double standard. That's been going on since time immemorial, though. Mm-hmm. You know, with hammers and all that stuff. Yeah, I just, again, I'm glad I left Twitter. On the one hand, it sucks because I had, like, a decent following there. On the other hand, it was, like, I'm way less upset all the time. There is plenty to still upset me. Do not worry about that. I'm still upset much, but it would be way worse if I was using Twitter. I do not like all that algorithmic stuff. I prefer having a timeline that I can actually control who I see. Rough time to be a person in general, ain't that the truth? Many a time I see Alfie's laying on her rock and I'm like, I'm jealous of you. Knowing nothing of the world except here is warm rock, I'm going to eat a bug. We do need new social medias. You know, problem is that like, the social medias require so much monies to run, and it's pretty much has to be like a thing of, okay, you're putting money into this without expecting a return on it. Because this is just, you know, people talking and stuff like that. So who is willing to just continuously dump money into a place and then, you know, not expect a return on it, except for, you know, the satisfaction of people interacting online? Not many people are. Yeah. That's how they get you. That's how they get you. They gotta see everything. That's how they get you. That is true. That is true. Definitely that's Blue Sky's problem, is it's like, oh, we wanted to attract a bunch of like crypto guys here, and instead we got all the furries and the artists. Ew. And it's like, my dude, why do you want that? Why do you want that audience? It sucks. Yeah, that is why I had to stop using Twitter, is I would get into doom spirals and just not be able to do anything. And I'm like, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep going into the doom spiral. It would take up so much of my time just like spiraling out, and ugh. I already have to tiptoe around it a little bit in Blue Sky, but Twitter, it was worse for me. One of your games? Huh. Well, that's weird. Why did they change it to screw with your muscle memory? Yeah, that's another problem, is like you have to have a social media site, and then you have to like also have people that are willing to jump to it and like get your user base to it. Like I know Pillow Fort has been trying to basically be a Tumblr alternative for a long time, and I have a Pillow Fort, but I just haven't spent really any time there because the audience I have is still on Tumblr mostly. Also, when do I do my stretch break? Sometime soon. Yeah, I stopped using DeviantArt a long time ago. I still debate sometimes being like, oh, let's just bring back a forum. I remember those days. For better or worse. I'm sure they had their own problems too. No place is problem free. It's kind of like, okay, how willing are you to deal with like the problems being baked in, basically? And I do not like these social medias that are basically just like, okay, we're not going to actually show you who you follow. We're going to show you a bunch of other stuff that you're not following. We're going to show you a bunch of like news and stuff that you don't necessarily want to see. We're going to show you like blah, just all this other stuff that we think will get you like still scrolling forever. I appreciate the fact that, for example, on Tumblr, I can reach the bottom of where I last left off and stop. What's happening, forum? Yeah, I guess that's another thing. Like, oftentimes with forums, like, okay, it's pretty bare bones. You can talk, but if you want to, host a video or a picture or something, you're going to have to bring it from the outside. I've never heard about that from UTDR Reddit, huh? Yeah, I'll poke at that still, but woof, Reddit fandom is something. It's hard. It's hard to find a decent spot for, fandom discussions that you want. It's a worse prison than anywhere else. Oh my goodness. It definitely feels that way. Ooh. Oh, it was a Reddit wide thing? Oh, right. That thing happened a long time ago. I think that got a few people to move to Tumblr, actually. I don't know if it was resolved or whatever. It can get pretty weird. It can get pretty wacky. I definitely seen that people don't really like the half-human Susie theory there. Which, oh well. I guess some do. A lot don't, though. Yeah, that's not very clear in terms of, like, how you would do that boss. Not super clear. That's why designing good UI is important. And difficult. Ingy Chris. Fandom hates theory equivalent of luscious shortcake. Huh, cake does sound good, actually. I do find it funny that that's considered such an outlandish theory compared to like some of the stuff floated there, but I'm sure that's probably like a two Goombas fallacy, you know. One person believing A does not mean they also believe B. Gotta watch out for that. People have been relatively civil about comics. I haven't really seen people get mad about that. Honestly, I think people got madder about the ending of Paper Trail in like in my own inbox, so can't complain about that. Okay. I think it's time for my stretch break, and then we'll continue on with this page with Chris. And yeah, I'm sure there's some criticisms I've seen lobbed at my art where I'm like, yeah, that's I can't protest that too much. That's just the reality of it. AI powered. It's like that metaverse version of a fashion show, and it's like, it's not that bad. Like, it's okay to say it's bad, guys. Can we get an estimate on? I don't think I got that many. Like, I got one, I guess. There was one person in like my Discord server who just like threw an insane fit, and we had to ban them because they were being deeply unreasonably angry about it. But not that bad. Nothing that severe. Like basically, as I've said in the past, I think like the percentages in terms of like people who liked Paper Trail's ending is like 25% really did not like it, 25% really did like it, and then 50% are kind of like mixed feelings. Which I'm like, yeah, that feels about right. So like 25%, not liking it, it's like, okay. And even then, by not liking it, it's not, there's a difference between like, oh, I hated it kind of thing, now it's ruined everything, and like, oh, I liked it, but I just didn't like the ending. And I think more people fell into like, I liked it overall, and I didn't like the ending kind of thing. Which, also normal. Endings are hard. That's why I hope Eldritron's ending comes out okay. Please let this ending stick the landing. Please. I gotta make sure I cover some material before I get to that. There's a magic barrier strong any criticism I have in my mind. Oh no. It's impossible to critique things that you get for free. No, please let this ending stick the landing. Please. Please. I've already written it like a long time ago and planned it out. I just gotta build up to it and do it. That's pretty funny, the cars. Yeah, exactly. It's also probably going to be a little bit funky just because this was not shown chronologically. All the parts are out of order. It just ended up happening that way. There's just no way I can do like this whole thing chronologically. It would never get done. Especially since this is like more complicated drawing than even Paper Trail was. The robots have nothing to say. Oh no. Alright, be right back for one more stretch and all that. Alrighty, let's go for another round. Whew. Finish off my orange juice and we go. Yeah, I'm actually trying to figure out how many more parts I should do for Eldritch Rune. I know I've got at least 4. I'm kind of hoping that I don't need to add too many more, like after chapter 5 or anything like that, just because I'd like to also be able to make sure I can throw in some time again on the ending, because I really would like to finish everything before chapter 6. I'm pretty certain once we get to like chapter 6, it'll be very, very well off the rails from wherever this is going. It'll be very, very different. Especially like the night and stuff like that. That's going to be very different. Yeah. Good grief. I guess I still need to draw one for chapter 4, but that'd probably just be like a character card. I get the feeling that he will be kind of the boss, but not really. Again, my thoughts right now are that he is the first phase boss, and then we get the real one. Because I'm a little worried about, like, you know, just character-wise, like, ask her, why are you fighting your child? Like, it made sense for it to be happening in Undertale, because, oh no, I'm forced to fight this child for reasons that we have established pretty well in advance. But, this is like your child, like, you're, not just a child, it's your child. Why are you fighting them? How would it be cool and relevant to Chris if he had to fight Chris to do that? It's backwards logic. Also, XP works differently in Deltarune. Or at least it does in the Dark Worlds. We have no clue what goes on in the Light Worlds, but in the Dark Worlds, XP works a little differently. I guess hopefully we'll also see whatever the secret boss is for Chapter 5. Something relevant to Rouse in some form. At least I would assume that would be the case, since we really need a Rouse specific boss after having multiple that are more relevant to Chris and Susie. We need to get him a special scarf. Or armor of some kind. I don't know, but probably scarf. Scarf would make sense. Man, I still want to get those little sword figurines at some point because they're cute and also their descriptions are interesting. And their little box arts. Whew. And I was kind of hoping, oh, we'll get through a bunch of shading today. And I'm like, oh, I'm still on page 3. And shading always does take a while, so. That's the way it is. Mm-hmm. That's a good question. I wonder if we're going to be fighting against them more often. I mean, we'll duel with heal strife by strife bit from the prophecy kind of feels like it's going to be, oh, now in the second half we're going to be dealing with them more often as our primary villain. As opposed to having, like, you know, a Darkner villain that just kind of shows up and does their little doobly-doobly thing and then now we fix them kind of thing. Since I get the feeling that, like, Chapter 5 is basically going to be the last Dark World we're going to recruit from. I just don't know how we would do that in Chapter 6 or 7 and have, like, time to deal with everything else we'll probably have to deal with. They show up to one-shot Asgore. Oh, no. Themed Titans would be interesting. Like, if they look different for each Dark World. They could do some cool stuff with that. Interesting things. That's fair. I like making predictions. I find it to be fun. But some people, like, don't have fun that way because, like, you are, you know, you don't want to be wrong in that sense. And you know what? You got to do the way that is the most fun for you. Definitely don't want to ruin it in that sense because certainly I'm got to, you know, tiptoe around that myself. I've done that for games in the past, and it's not fun when it's like, oh, I bet it's going to go this way, and then it goes an entirely different way, and, like, you're disappointed by that. So whatever you do, don't set yourself up for disappointment. Have fun. More grown Titan, yeah. That was a baby Titan. We haven't dealt with a full-grown hatch Titan. Which, uh-oh. Uh-oh. That's gonna be scary, because already just the first one. Pretty difficult boss battle for me. I struggled on that one. As is evidence. I mean, I had to do like especially my first time playing through it, I had to do that a couple times. That was actually probably the boss I struggled with the most that was like a required boss that wasn't a secret boss. Was the Titan, which, is appropriate. So I imagine we'll have to deal with more grown Titan, we'll have to deal with multiple Titans at once, and then that gets tricky. With any luck, but will we be so lucky? Will we be fortunate enough in that sense? So the captain gives items. Which captain gives items? I don't recall this. And which items do they give? If you keep dying, a captain spawns before the fight that brings some items and chests. Oh, interesting. Okay, I don't think I ever got to a point where a captain showed up and gave me like an item and a chest. But I was also like just trying it over and over again from the start point. I wasn't going back to the save. So maybe if I had gone back to the save, it would have done that. It just brings a flashlight. Ah! New soul power unlocked. Flashlight. High beams. Turn on your floodlights. Rhapsodies? Interesting. Good to know. I do appreciate the fact that when Toby is designing that stuff, he's like, okay, let's if somebody is struggling with this fight, let's try and put in like options for them to make it a little bit easier for them. I think that's an important and good part of game design. Is considering the fact that people might want to play your game, but they suck at it. Like me. Like, I do think it's kind of neat how, like, the Flowey fight at the end of Undertale is pretty much designed to like feel completely impossible, but like as you keep trying it, it gradually becomes like easier and easier in pretty direct ways. And definitely that was the case with me. Rhapsodies. Yeah, it was such a good fight. It was so effective. Just in terms of like how that whole situation was set up, and like the shock of suddenly seeing it after, you know, you've been playing this full game with all these cute little pixel monsters, and all of a sudden you're just met with this thing that feels completely alien and horrifying. Just they got the mood of it down. I think it does kind of lose some stuff, like if you do the console versions. Definitely there was something in particular about the fact that Flowey would just like shut off your game every time you died, and you would have to like restart it every time. Whereas the console, it's like, okay, we're just going to do a little fuzzy thing and then just start you up again. That's why I was always wondering, like, okay, how would they port, you know, One Shot to console? So much of that game is like you simultaneously playing the game and then also messing around with your computer files. I guess there are solutions for it. Yeah, that's true. I definitely know that at least, like, the flower shutting your game off, I think that was the first time I had ever encountered that kind of thing in a video game, so it took me completely by surprise. I'm sure other games had done it, like, prior to that, but that was my first experience with that kind of thing for me personally. And it was freaky. Freaky deaky. I'm curious if we will get anything like that in Deltarune, or if the fact that it's kind of simultaneously coming out for computer and consoles means that that is a little bit less doable. I'm sure there's a good chunk of the audience that just never played on computer and has just like played it on the Switch or something like that. Also, what happened there? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. OG and the one, yeah. The Switch does have Mew Mew. True. We do love Mew Mew. I do love the fact that even though, like, I guess Mew Mew kind of is a Switch exclusive, like, she's just kind of treated as, yeah, Mew Mew is canon. Because she shows up in all the supplementary and, you know, stuff following afterwards, so. That's neat. And that I've never actually done the Mew Mew fight. Even though I have a Switch, I haven't, like, played Undertale on my Switch, so I've never gotten to do the Mew Mew fight. Which is a little bit sad. That discourse. I don't know. I do not know. That's so outside of my purview. I imagine especially it's like if it's a kid, then they might not have that PC access. They might only have a console because that's something considered safe to give a kid. So if you are a younger person, I can see how, and especially like, yeah, a kid is not gonna, you know, necessarily know English. So I can see, oh, we want a language patch for consoles because this will allow kids to play it. Because I can see a situation where kids overseas, you know, one, don't speak English, and two, may not have access to their own PC, but they do have access to a console. Because that's basically a cheaper PC. So, in that sense, they are still shut off from the game. So I can see that situation. I got the mics, exactly. I'm still wondering if we might have something else to do with microphones in the future. Definitely, I'm surprised at how much the mics have just, like, popped up in, like, promotional stuff. Considering that they are very optional guys, but we keep seeing them pop up and stuff. Yeah, kids don't like being watched, and it also might be a thing of like, okay, a kid, you know, enjoys video games, and if their parent doesn't enjoy video games, then they just don't have access to them, except for like what you buy at the store. I would definitely say, like, as a kid, or not as a kid, but I don't think kids enjoy people kind of hanging over and watching what they do in a computer, because nobody enjoys that. Especially, including children. People appreciate their privacy. But being allowed to make your own choices about, like, you know, what you read and write and watch and all that stuff is kind of important. That is true. Gaster is a very optional guide, but at the same time I feel like Gaster is going to not be that optional at all, at least for Deltarune. Like, with the Goner Maker thing, he talks to you directly at the end of Chapter 4, all that kind of stuff. That part's not optional. We're going to be probably dealing with him directly in some capacity. Whereas, I don't know if there's anything regarding the mics where you have to encounter the mics. I feel like thus far the mics have been strictly a you gotta seek them out kind of thing. Let's sing the mic song for you. Hey, motor mouth Mike. I like how Green Pippins has gotten like all this character development. I hope we do in some sense. I just want to get like something that's like, okay, yes, this is Gaster in this situation kind of thing. I don't really want like a fight with him. People are like, oh, he's gonna be the big bad, we're gonna have to fight him. I don't really want that. I want to see what he looks like, and I want to see confirmation that yep, that's Gaster. Heck, like I was talking about in that one Ask recently, I'm still wondering if, like, okay, we do have two different Gasters. There's a Deltarune one and the Undertale one, and which one are we talking to? The Jebel in Chris's pocket. Jebel's probably fine with that. I don't need lore. He wants to keep us all guessing forever. That's more chaotic. It could perhaps. And what was he doing specifically with those to shatter across time and space kind of thing? Yeah, that I am kind of like, huh, maybe we are dealing with two Gasters, but which is which? Again, I think I saw a thing that basically the Forgotten Man is Deltarune's Gaster, and then Goner Maker Gaster, the one who's actually, you know, kind of running the game, so to speak, is Undertale Gaster. And I could see that working. Because it really does feel weird how, like, you know, we got the eggs associated with Forgotten Man, and Forgotten Man kind of, like, talks very Gaster-ish, but also not. It's more vibes-based than anything. Like, definitely the Goner Maker Gaster has the same sense as Undertale, like the very, very interesting, speaking in all caps, oh, you've been looking for me kind of thing. But Forgotten Man still has kind of a Gaster-ish vibe, even if they're not quite the same. Yeah, that whole thing at the end where he just like goes, oh, we're halfway through the end, my Deltarune, like, oh, that kind of gave me the shivers, gave me the willies. I'm like, what do you mean, Gaster? What do you mean? What do you mean? Yeah, normally he's just talked to us either through the Gaster Maker, or not Gaster Maker, the Goner Maker, or the social media takeovers. So it's like, okay, you're now talking indirectly at this halfway point. Quick question. I think I could do that. Yes. I can move something around. We can do a little Tetrisy things if you want to do that. I think that's doable. That is true. I'm not quite sure if those are both Gasters. Why does Undertale Gaster have beef with Delter? Or why does Undertale Gaster have beef with Deltarune Gaster? He just seems like kind of a nice guy. Why are you focusing on him? Gaster hating his alt self. He's like, look at this guy. He could have been a scientist. Instead, he's just an egg guy. Whereas Deltarune Gaster's like, I'm just vibing. It's fine if you don't remember me. It's cool. Undertale Gaster's like, no, it's not fine. It sucks being forgotten. Deltarune Gaster's like, no, it's fine. It's cool. By the way, Undertale Gaster, did you know there were dinosaurs here once? In the olden days of dinosaur times, everything looked like a Game Boy. You believe that to be true? Well, are you hating him? Hate harder. See, I don't even know if he, like, hates Forgotten Man that much. He just kind of like, you know. Seems a little bit peeved by him, but I don't know if he hates him. And again, I think most people draw that, like, oh, he hates him, just like, oh, the egg is an issue. And I'm like, that's not a very strong word for something you don't like. Okay. Transmass desk, please. Okay. Please send me a reference for that. Where did I put okay, I'll have to move her. Alright, this is the regular one, this is the dress one. Where should I move them? I might have to move them over here, I guess. Probably should wait until I draw the other one first, then we'll move stuff around. Egg is issue. I think that our ARG mostly threw a fit if you did 11. It's like, why are you doing 11? Already been sent. Okay. Alright. See if I can't get this right. So I think it also does make up your mind just if you're not clear at all on like what your unit of measurement is. Basically your answer had to be give a unit of measurement for a specific time, or like just do any kind of specific time for it. But also 11 was like, nah. Because everybody just decided, oh, it's got to be 11 because of the Forgotten Man. Yep. I think my answer for that I gave the next day at the festival, and I gotta move forward with this answer for that. So I was like, oh, what if it's not a numerical thing? What if it's just like, you know, a feeling? And it turns out that counts. Hooray! Yeah, basically, be specific was a more correct answer than Mystery Man numbers. Well, there's 7 hours, 11 hours, or 11 years. It'll be waiting. Let's see. Hope I can get this correct. cute outfits, but need more practice with like Western outfits. Very specific costumes. I remember. I think you didn't get a move forward with this answer one. Which one did you give Blue Dino for your answer? I do like having the big furry things around the hooves for the holidays. Nope. Resize them so there's something good. Ah, got 1225. Everything looks like a ball. And give him a gun. I really wonder what the ratio was for like either people giving 1225 or 11, since apparently that was also going around. Hee balls. Everything looks like a ball, and all you have is a bat. Violent tendencies, Des. Could indeed. Yay! Handsome. Alright, think I got everything. Let's see if we can't pop these two together. We might need to, yeah, we might need to rearrange some stuff around here. Boop, boop, boop. Okay. I think we can do that. Maybe, hopefully we can find a little small thing to fit in there. There we go. Yay! They're so cute. Thank you for the request. We go back to the other page. Yeah, I can see that. The problem I worry about is, like, I want there to be nuance. People seem kind of allergic to nuance in that sort of thing with Des and Chris. Like, I can really appreciate, Chris really cared about Des and stuff, and Des really cared about Chris, but Des may have not been a great influence. She, was a rowdy teenager. She was not, a mature adult. She probably did some things very wrong, in regards to hanging out with Chris. But at the same time, people are like, oh, she groomed Chris. But I'm like, no, it doesn't have to be like that. There can be nuance there. Or even just like, with Des as the knight. I want her to have some kind of agency in what she's doing. I don't think it's entirely her, because just like mechanically speaking, it seems there's likely something else going on with, how her body works and all that stuff, how the night works in general. But I want her to have some degree of agency. I don't understand that at all. Like, it does not have to be that bad. It can just be like, again, the way I'm looking at it right now is, I do like the idea actually that Des was like more interested in humans. Like, she was a monster who was like, oh, humans are so cool. I wish I was a human, because humans, they can do whatever they want. They're not bound by, what family they're born into. I have to live in, this Christmas family kind of thing and have to be all holiday cheer, and I hate that. I wish I could do whatever I wanted. I wish I could be violent. Humans can be violent, and that's expected of them. Monsters can't do that because people are afraid of them. But you humans, you can be, mean and violent if you want, and I wish I could do that. And then Chris, as a human, is kind of absorbing that, and, they've already got, a few tendencies towards that because they're a kid. And then, something terrible happens. They enact some kind of violence on Des, in a moment of anger, jealousy, or, frustration that comes from being a kid, and then something horrible happens to Des, And Chris just absorbs all that completely and is like, because they didn't want to actually hurt her, but they did, and just, they completely absorb this fact that, oh, like, I did this. This is my violence. My human violence has hurt this person that, you know, I deeply cared about and who cared about me and wanted to be like me, and look what I've done, kind of thing. Oh, yeah. Oh, like, I was thinking more like in the bad touch kind of way. Like, grooming Chris for the role, I don't think she did that, no. I don't think what happened to her happened, like, by her consent. That just doesn't quite feel right. Yeah. Preparing for the yeah, I think that Carol might have been doing that. I don't think Des necessarily was. Because regardless of anything else, I do think that Des cared about Chris. I think she cared about all the kids. I don't think she would put Chris into a situation where they are going to suffer like horrible hardships through the prophecy. Again, I can see Carol doing that as a way of making up for what happened to Des, but I don't think Des would. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she would, but that's not how I'm reading it right now. Okay, yeah, alright. They're tourists on that. I understand. Alright, I'll be right back for one more stretch, and we'll do one more session. Alright, I return for our last session of sketching. Little Chris here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know in regards to Carol. I do want to see her, like, I want to see her do some really heinous stuff, but at the same time, like, oh, you know, why she's doing this is totally understandable. Let's get some women's wrongs going. I don't know if, like, I kind of feel like Des becoming the knight is almost like a like a stopgap. Basically, she would have died otherwise. Things would have, like, this is the less bad option, at least, or at least this is the option that you know, gave them more chances to fix her. Like, that's kind of how I feel about it right now. What kind of heinous stuff we could realistically expect from her? Well, if my thoughts on Final Prophecy are true, and that, you know, Final Prophecy basically says, okay, Chris is supposed to be a martyr and die, her basically, like, encouraging that, or at least not trying to stop and be like, yep, that's part of the plan, that's part of the promise, I accept that from you. That would be pretty heinous. I think that's what she and Carol would throw hands over. Yeah, I think she's trying to socially ruin Susie. Whatever it is, she's really got it out for Susie. Yep, manipulating Asgore. Definitely she has questionable parenting of Noelle, for sure. I'm like, Noelle, honey, you should not be afraid of your own mother. That's not okay. No, I don't think she's, like, physically hitting Noelle or anything, but you don't need to do that in order to be, like, doing wrong. I hope so. That would be an interesting twist, is, like, her realizing, oh, this thing I've been planning is actually, like, seriously messed up my family even worse. Oh no, the Susie Hamster files! The Nugget files! No! I don't think I clocked how funny it was that, you know, considering what happens in Paper Trail, Noelle's like, I better go get my hamster cage! In canon. I should have been like, wait, Nugget! He's alive! But oh well. That is perhaps true. Perhaps true. But in terms of, like, okay, in regards to Final Prophecy stuff, like, I do not like the idea. Let's see if I can explain this. I do not like the idea that, like, oh, you know, the second hero was supposed to be Noelle, and Susie usurped her and she doesn't deserve that title. And the tragedy is that, you know, she thinks she's a hero, but she's not really a hero, you know. She's just a nobody. Whereas what I think is more likely and more interesting is, like, okay, it would have been Noelle otherwise, but Susie was put into this position not because she's unqualified, but because she is being thrown under the bus. Because somebody is like, okay, being the girl in the prophecy actually really sucks. So we're going to spare Noelle this and give it to the horrible bully instead. And that'll be her role. Because I do think Susie is qualified for her position. But I think it would be interesting if basically, like, because being the girl is actually a bad thing, somebody put her in that position specifically in order to spare Noelle. I've already eaten things. Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely see it being switched from, like, okay, this is an obstacle to, like, I do not like her as a person. Especially, again, if Susie is supposed to be playing this specific role and Susie's like, screw your roles, I do what I want. Carol actually ate chalk in chapter 1. So you get that? Yeah. I guess it really does depend on the Final Prophecy stuff, what it is. Like, if it is supposed to be like, oh, the girl has to die, then there could be angst in that. But, again, my thoughts right now are that the girl is supposed to kill the cage. Especially since, like, Chris seems way more resigned to, like, death already. And I do find it interesting how, like, especially if they had known up from the beginning that, okay, we're going to put Susie into this role, which is why they are just completely unbothered by Susie being like, I'm gonna kill you, you know, bullying stuff, which would normally be like, what the hell kind of thing, but they're just like, whatever, because, yeah, this is gonna happen anyway. In fact, it's kind of funny that it's already happening, sort of thing. Yeah, exactly. And I think that can also tie into, like, Chris losing their hand pretty much. Well, I do think that's why Rousey is more worried about Susie finding it than Chris. Because if Susie is supposed to kill Chris, then he also knows, oh, she's going to react really badly to it. I just find it interesting that, like, when it comes to, like, say, oh, we if we're not violent, then we'll you know, prevent this from happening. He's mostly concerned about Susie being violent. He's not really concerned about Chris being violent. Like, you can not recruit people. You can attack them, and Rousey doesn't have a lot to say about that. But if Susie is the one attacking people, that kind of makes Rousey more nervous than if it's just Chris doing it. And he seems pretty content. Okay, make sure Susie's happy. Talking about how kind she is. Yeah, whatever is going on with the prophecy, one, it definitely involves Susie, and two, Rousey is most concerned about Susie finding it. And I guess it kind of depends on, like, okay, how much does Rousey know about what Chris is up to? It's still kind of an open question. Okay, does Rousey know that Chris is working with the Knight, that they're doing a double cross? Because I'm not sure yet. It really could go either way. But at the same time, I can see him being totally blindsided by Chris working with the Knight for that. I don't know, because, like, if the question is, okay, just, we have to be kind to people, why is Rousey willing to speak up about Susie being violent, but, you know, it's kind of like, okay, Chris is the leader, you can do whatever you want kind of thing. Yeah, that would be an interesting way to make Rousey reckon with a few things. Like, he knows so many things and yet did not know this bit. Uh-oh. Like that. And also just like the bit at the end where Susie's like, oh, I hope we can keep being friends. Like, if it was a thing where she was afraid that, oh, I'm supposed to kill my friend, then that would make her anxious about people's friendships with her. Whereas if she was the one that was dying, I'm not quite sure why she would be worried about, oh, I hope our friendship stays intact kind of thing. Who knows? It's a tough thing because it's like, at least in terms of death flags, I feel like Chris has more death flags on them, or at the very least they are acting as if they have the death flags. I feel like they're acting more like, oh, I'm not going to make it out of this. Yeah, she does say I want today to be like the previous day, but she also does say that no matter what, I want to keep being friends with you and Rousey. It's very important to her. It's so frustrating. Like, all of the characters know what the final prophecy is, but not the player. Isn't there somebody you forgot to ask? Like, no, player, you're not a part of this. Bye. You're just the big light bulb we need to defeat the bad guys. Shush your mouth, player. This is our lives to you. It's a video game. You don't get a say. Actually, you get all the says. I just want my kids to be okay. They gotta come out of it okay. In the end. Yeah, I do also feel like the, if the final prophecy is, you know, Susie is supposed to kill Chris, or just, at the very least, like, take their soul and use that, then that's where them losing their hand comes in. Because that's basically a compromise between actually killing them and taking the soul. Alright, let's move on to the next page. Hooray! I've gotten through 4 so far. Oh, what is the connection? Oh, request. April Fool's bit around Undertale I used with some cool art. Clover Chew. Alright, I'm gonna try and pause the music. Oh, cute! Cute, cute, cute. Alright, let's see if we can't squeeze that guy in somewhere. Let's put him... Might be small enough to fit in here, actually. See if we can't do that. Yeah, basically, taking out the hand is basically like, okay, if Chris is the cage for the soul, then their hand is basically the key, because that's what they use to remove the soul, to get it in and out. So what happens to a cage if you lose the key to it? You lose the key to it. You can't use it anymore. Soul stay in them, soul stay out of them. I assume it would, basically, it depends on when you do it, and if they do it while the soul is out of them, then soul is out of them. And now Susie has access to it. I know they probably use both hands to take the soul in and out, but I assume we get it counts with one hand. This Pikachu's got a gun! Justice Chew! And that works next to Gardner too, so. Good grief, where does the... Alright, the thing is down there in their tail. There we go. Way to fill that space. That's cute. So I'm going to change the hat a little bit. Yeah. Alright, there we go. Thank you for the request for Justice Chew. Although, you can see how bad my Pokemon drawings are. Pikachu is surprisingly difficult to, like, get right. Get on model. Yeah, thank you. Pikachu. I just had Mimikyu recently in Pokemon Go. I was like, yeah, I gotta get Mimikyu. That was an April Fool's deal. I mean, maybe the vessel will come back. Definitely people seem to think so. I'm fine either way if it comes back or not. I'm a kind of an odd one out. I don't care about the vessel. I care about the other characters, so if the vessel comes back, I'd be like, okay, I don't remember what traits I gave you. Sorry. I do not understand people like, I can't wait to get my vessel back so I can kick Chris's ass. I'm like, no, I don't care. I want to see what Chris is gonna do. I've never been very good with like create your character for this game kind of thing. I'm like, I don't know, I want another character. That's true. Pikachu's model has changed over the years. He's become very round chew to more lean chew. Come back post-ironically. That could be interesting. I could deal with that. Also, I just don't understand the fascination with, oh, the vessel's gonna be super important, blah blah blah, and I'm like, ugh. I mean, maybe. I just don't care about the vessel the same way I care about the actual characters. But again, it might just not be for me. I've never been very good with like, and create your avatar in this role-playing game. I'm like, here's a guy, I guess. Oh yeah, I agree. I can honestly see a situation wherein like chapter 7 especially is just like Susie using us as the the soul of the player, but her still basically doing whatever the hell she wants. We are a tool in her hands rather than we are possessing a game character. I think that would be pretty neat. That's true. I won't discount it completely. If it comes back in some fashion, even an important fashion, I won't be like, this is unexpected, I can't do that, because like clearly there's some kind of setup there for something. I would be surprised if it never comes back in any fashion. It's just hard for me to speculate on what that fashion would be because I just don't care about it. Yep. Yeah, exactly. I don't think it's forever forgotten. That doesn't quite seem in theme with what we have. I would be surprised if we never saw it again. But in what context we will see it again, I don't know. Yeah, I've completely forgotten like anything I gave my vessel. Probably I gave it kindness for the gift because that's usually what I do. But beyond that, like blood type, heck if I know. Favorite food? Extremely relevant things. We have shaped its mind as our own. Unless you were speedrunning, in case you shaped its mind as the first option available. First, there's a creepy guy behind you. Gosh, now I'm wondering if once we get the full game out, like all 7 chapters, if I would be willing to like do a replay from chapter 1. It's gonna be so long. Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm sure I would, just because it's like, now that we have the full story, let's go back and see how it was all, shown from this part. But it's gonna be like a proper, 40, 50 hour RPG. You got the thing. And what of the creator? Of course they are the same. Of course. That was a good moment. I don't remember if I did that with my first playthrough or not. I don't remember if I named it myself and then I got the of course thing. I seriously can't remember if that was my first situation. Oh yeah, gotta do final chapters first. It'll be a little bit crazy. The fact that they're like working on chapter 6 now is just really wild to me somehow. I don't know. It's like chapter 6 and 7 specifically feel like not real. It's like, oh yeah, those hypothetically exist in like an alternate universe somewhere, but they don't really exist. And I'm like, wait a minute, no, that's what they're doing right now. Most of the team is on chapter 6. That is kind of mind blowing. I don't know why specifically. Maybe it's because like those two chapters just like never get mentioned. And it's like, oh wait, those are in progress. The scrambled version of Kara. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you say no to pain and seizure. Like that question is completely irrelevant. Do you acknowledge the possibility of pain and seizure? Nope. Well, it might happen anyway, whether or not you acknowledge it. Deltrin finish 2027. I can see 2027 or 2028. Depends on how long it takes to get through the last 2 chapters, and I can imagine them kind of taking a while, especially if we've got some different kind of mechanical stuff going on. If things get a little weird, especially in chapter 7, I can see that requiring a little extra time. So my guess is 2028. Although 2027 is still possible. I just want to make sure I can finish this comic before chapter 6. I was not expecting to have so much to do for this, but I probably should have. Chapter 8, 9, 10, and 0. I am not convinced we're going to have extra chapters. I'll believe it when they're announced. Complete single game version. Oh, yeah. I imagine that would be a coding nightmare. That's true. It really does seem like they set up to be like, you can play any chapter you want, including out of order. Which is odd. Especially since so much of this stuff depends on like doing the previous ones. Yeah, that would allow them to future-proof it better. Maybe that'll be like a separate version from the one we actually get. Because yeah, coding-wise, I imagine that's going to be a bit of a toughness. And I know they said, oh, we're not retroactively going to change anything, you know, in chapter 1 by this point. But I'm like, I could still see that happening, depending. Either way. Let's see. You're allowed to update it a little. I'm pretty sure right now his priority is just finish it. Just finish it. Just get it done. Finish it. You make it now. You can make it good later, kind of thing. With how many years it's already been taking, I'm pretty certain that's his thought process, is just, please just let me finish it. 8-10 is just Homestuck Act 7. Oh no. The secret hidden chapters, like in the game Immortality. You rewind it right here, you get the hidden chapter. Like, I know people are like, oh, I bet there'd be more chapters, that'd be really cool. On the other hand, I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's already pretty busy just with, 7. Well, let's not put more work on him unless he's ready to do that. Let's just get these 7 done first. Yep. Unfortunately true. I learned a lot about fandom from Homestuck and valuable lessons. I'm like, uh-huh. Uh-huh. I imagine you did learn some valuable lessons. I think part of it might have also been like, because also Homestuck itself just had like a lot of things to say about the fandom in general, and they were not all kind things, so people are going to pick up on that. I mean, it wasn't all unkind things either, but there were some unkind things. Your fan troll becomes canon, yep. It was a jokey joke, and then there we go. I feel like if there's anything that is indicating, I'm okay, Toby, please remember to learn the lesson. Like, please remember the lessons. It's the mics. I feel like that's probably the most dangerous bit of territory he's done so far in terms of like commenting on the fandom in the canon itself. So it's like they're funny, but watch out, that can go south pretty quickly. So I hope he treats the mics with care, because that could go badly pretty quick. If it hasn't already, which for some people it might have. Yeah, I saw the mic money. Well, lessons were learned and then they were promptly forgot. Which, you know, that happens to the best of us. Big Act 6 characters is a mouthpiece for a lot of stuff Hussey finds kind of stupid. Isn't that basically like what Caliborn's thing is? Is like, I don't know. I remember seeing listening to a podcast about Homestuck as they were reading through it, and they were kind of basically making the assertion that like Calliope is a commentation or commentary on like the cool parts of fandom, like the people who like to make fan art and stuff like that, and ship and all the other stuff. Like basically, you know, creative, productive fans, whereas Caliborn is a commentary on the really spiteful, mean, insulting parts of fandom. Yeah, I don't think he's, like, insulting the fans through the mics. I don't think that's what's going on with the mics. I just think it's a little bit dangerous territory, like, directly commentating on, like, what the fandom is doing, especially in regards to theories. You have to assume that at all points people will not get the joke and will take things seriously, pretty much. So, is that a joke you're willing to accept, kind of thing? Oh, hello. Thank you for coming, but I'm just about to stop. It's almost noon. I'm sorry. I just realized, oh, it's almost noon. I gotta stop and get my lunch. So maybe once I finish this shading for Chris here, then we'll call it quits. Okay, yeah, Caliborn was the one I was thinking of. But yeah, the impression I got, at least from that podcast, was that Calliope and Caliborn were basically commentary on Homestuck's fandom. For better and for worse. They got slimed a little. Maybe that's why I wasn't too bothered by the mics, because I wasn't like, who is Mike? And I wasn't like super big on the mic mystery, so once we got to like the mics there, I'm like, oh, okay, that's Mike, sure, neat. Like, I wasn't devastated or anything, but I do know there's people who are like, no, we haven't seen the real Mike yet. We'll see the real Mike at some point, and maybe, sure. Again, I'm not super invested. Is a bit where he states how he loves world building. He's portrayed like an idiot. Yeah, I don't know about that, Hussey. Hussey, I don't know about that. Yeah, sorry, caught a little bit of it, but I'm about ready to go and eat my lunch because I'm hungry. I'm a hungry. Yeah, world building is not inherently bad, and world building can be really fun. You can get some cool stuff from good world building. I think perhaps the danger is like putting world building and lore at the expense of the narrative. Like sometimes the narrative, in order to work, is going to do things that like really don't make a lot of sense in terms of lore or world building, and you just kind of have to deal with that because the narrative is paramount. I don't know, bro. The Dark World, exactly. Like if you get it's kind of important, sure, but if I was going to rank like in terms of importance, like which is more important, the narrative is more important than the world building. It's a careful balance. You don't want to be like, oh, you know, I just don't believe this thing would happen, you know, within the context of the rules of the world kind of thing. But at the same time, it's like, okay, if something kind of breaks the rules of the world a little bit for the sake of the narrative, I don't think that's like the end of the world or anything. Especially when it comes to like Undertale Deltarune, wherein like the timeline is kind of fucked. Where if you try and figure out, okay, when did this take place in comparison to this, it's a losing battle because Toby just does not care about that. That's not important to him. The narrative is more important than are things on a proper timeline. That's been true of both Undertale and Deltarune at this point, I think. Yeah, the lore is not like if you start and like think about, you know, like the mechanics of, oh, you know, souls in the Undertale universe, well, monster souls will vanish immediately because humans are way stronger because of their physical beings, except for boss monsters, which will last this long, and also boss monsters are immortal, except in this situation, in which case if this happens, then blah 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 blah. Like, looking at the rules of it, it doesn't really make sense, but it works fine for the narrative, so you're not worried, you're not bothered by it. Alright, I have reached, I think, a stopping point before Chris goes falling into a big pit of despair. Yeah. No, there's not a lot of lore. Narrative, yeah. Narrative comes first. Yeah, exactly. And it's fine if the world building is a little bit oddly convoluted. That's true, that's true. The main, yeah. So the main story is perfectly understandable. It's not like I would say Kingdom Hearts' world building gets a little bit convoluted, just because that was all done for the purpose of like extending the narrative, and it got a little wild at the end there. But yes, thank you guys so much for coming to the stream, and I'm on, what is it, page 5 out of 18 of these. Okay, I'm making progress. It's just going slow, but hopefully I can get more of this done next week, because I do want to get this part out. I'm excited to finally have it done when it's done. But again, no stream on Sunday, but there will be Slay the Princess tonight, so I hope you guys come back for Slay the Princess later tonight. I'll try and get through routes that I have not done. It'll be fun. Nice to go back to that series, especially now that I understand it a little bit more. Yes, please go get some sleeps and all that stuff, and I will go get some lunch. But thank you guys so much for coming to the stream. As always, I super appreciate you hanging out with me and talking and discussing things and doing sketch requests and all that goodness. So yeah, hope you guys have a lovely day. Hopefully I'll see you back later for Slay the Princess. And yeah, I will see you all next time. Right, see you later.